What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And if you think you're subscribed, make sure to check because you may not be. And if you want to see the daily Ravens content, please, I once again remind you, hit the subscribe button. But in this video, what I'm going to be talking about is something I've talked about a fair bit on the channel, which is Orlando Brown trades. But this is more in the sense of why they have to do it. And then I have three options for how they can do it, because I think Orlando Brown Jr., a lot of the, rumors and everything, like they really picked up when, he tweeted out or whatever. And he was like, I'm a left tackle. And everybody just went full in and everybody was like, oh, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And all of a sudden, it seems like it's completely died down as we get closer to the draft, which I think is a bit weird because I would think that the trade rumors would be, kind of picking up because a lot of people want him to be traded for like draft picks or things like that. So I'm going to be going over the different options the Ravens have for trading him and why they should absolutely trade him, because I think it's an absolute must for the Ravens to trade him. Because, let's get into it. So obviously Orlando Brown Jr., he doesn't want to play in Baltimore anymore. I mean, I think he would if Ronnie Stanley randomly retired. Then I think he would be, okay, yeah, I'll just play left tackle for the Ravens. But he wants to play left tackle. He wants to play the premier side of the position. It's what his dad wanted him to do. His dad wanted him to be better than he was. So Baltimore is not going to be a fit as the Ravens already are paying a premier left tackle in Ronnie Stanley. So he wants out. And Orlando Brown Jr. was not drafted in the first round, meaning his contract does not have a fifth-year option. He only has 4 years on his deal, and this is the last year of that deal. So after this season, Orlando Brown Jr. will 1,000,000% walk. It's just going to happen. The only thing that the Ravens could potentially do would maybe franchise tag him. And then they would, probably have to franchise tag and trade. The Ravens aren't the type of organization that would, do that. They really respected his father. They respect Orlando Brown Jr. I don't see them as that type of organization, but even if they did, like, they'd have to find a team to trade. And then also if they wanted to tag somebody else next year, they wouldn't be able to do it because they would be stuck with Orlando Brown Jr. and getting nothing for Orlando Brown Jr., who has good trade value, is just not worth it at all. Yeah, you could get 1 year of good offensive tackle play, but 1 year, the Ravens are trying to win multiple Super Bowls. So 1 year of good offensive tackle play and getting nothing out of it, or getting, 4 years of, the things that you get from Orlando Brown could be definitely more beneficial. So overall, he's going to leave. Like, they need to get return on their investment that they took with that draft pick. So that's kind of the biggest deal as to why they need to trade him. But here's the three options what the Ravens could do in terms of trading him. And I'll go over all of them. And please comment down below what option you would pick, as well as if there's a fourth option that you see. I guess option 4 would be don't trade him. But if there's another option in terms of, ways that they could go about trading him, let me know down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear different ideas, different thoughts and opinions. I always love interacting with the comments, and thank you to everybody who does comment. But the first option would just be trading him for draft picks. Obviously, the draft is in a couple of weeks now. The Ravens have reportedly been asking for at least a first-round pick in return for Orlando Brown Jr. I would assume that means just a first-round pick if it's probably in the teens of the draft. I feel like if it's after pick 20, I feel like they would probably want something more, whether it's a first, maybe it's like a first and a fourth, and the Ravens trade a sixth, or it's just a first and a fifth or something like that. The Ravens would definitely be interested in that, and they could do that because they would be able to draft a player, whether it's a wide receiver, whether it's an edge rusher in the first round with that first pick, or heck, even if it's an offensive tackle they could draft to just be Orlando Brown Jr.'s replacement, they would be getting 4, and they have the team option on the 5th year, 4 or 5 years of play for a position upgrade that the Ravens really need. If you look at the draft last year, there wasn't really a major hole that the Ravens needed to address. Obviously they ended up going with Patrick Queen at linebacker, but they were pretty good. It wasn't like this year where it's like, okay, the Ravens do have holes that they need to fill: edge rusher, center, wide receiver. Whereas this year, it's like, yeah, whoever they draft in the first round, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to be playing a pivotal role for this Ravens offense or defense. So trading Orlando Brown Jr., you get 4 or 5 years of of not just one player, you'd be able to get 2 players. You could fix 2 major holes, and that would be major. And so that's kind of an option that they could do, trading him before then. I doubt they would make the trade on, draft day. I would assume that it happens probably, a little bit before, just because it's kind of risky, unless the team just wanted to trade back. I don't know. But I just don't think that he would get traded on draft day. I think it'll happen a little bit before. But that's pretty much option one. Trade him for some draft picks. This year gets him immediate impact for 5 years that, as young players that are on very cheap contracts. Solid option. I'm not against any of these ideas. I do have a favorite. It's option 3. But option 2 would be to trade Orlando Brown Jr. for a player. Whether that player is an Allen Robinson, the Ravens probably have to send in a pick or something like that with Allen Robinson. But, there's a few players the Ravens could go after, wide receivers, edge rushers, those types of things. They can make that trade. And the benefit of those trades would be that you're getting an established player that you know what they're going to bring, and they're going to have high value. They will bring so much more immediate impact than you would get from the draft. The long-term impact could be less so due to contract situations, how long they were under contract. Like, for example, I know Allen Robinson, he's just franchise tagged. So unless he agrees to a contract extension, you only have him for 1 year. So trading Orlando Brown Jr. for a player gives basically the most immediate return. However, in the long term, it's less so than drafting the other players. But you would be able to do it, and you'd be able to get that great impact at positions that we really need. Whether it's wide receiver, edge rusher, heck, they could do it for a center. But I highly doubt that they would trade Orlando Brown Jr. for a center, because what team is just like shopping their center right now. But that's kind of option 2, trading Orlando Brown Jr. for the most immediate impact in terms of high-level players. The only issue with it is they will cost significantly more, because they most likely would not be doing it for a player on a rookie deal that's making some of their money. It would probably be somebody that's franchise tagged, or maybe on an overpriced contract that a team is kind of wanting to get rid of. So that it's going to cost a little bit more in terms of the salary cap to be able to pull that off. But I think it's still a viable option that the Ravens could go with. But then option 3 is by far my favorite option. I thought about this. I haven't really heard a lot about doing it. I don't know. I don't think I'm not going to claim that I created this strategy. Somebody probably thought of it before me, but I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it. But I think the best option is to trade him before the trade deadline. You hold on to him through the draft. You draft. You have to do this. You have to draft a day 1 or day 2 offensive tackle to be his replacement. You could not do it if you just go 3rd round and draft. But what you do is you draft his replacement. You have him learn behind Orlando Brown Jr., because most offensive tackles, unless they are, a Penei Sewell, a Slater, they're not going to be able to just come in and be like the starting right tackle or starting tackle on the offensive line and have success. But you look at what Orlando Brown Jr. did his rookie year. He's drafted in the 3rd round, I believe. Pretty sure. Hopefully I'm not wrong about that. But he's drafted in the later round. He sits back up. And then after a few weeks, he comes in and he plays pretty well. He just had, those extra few weeks are a great time for development, trying to get used to the NFL speed, the NFL power. So drafting a guy and plugging them in at the tackle position is actually what a lot of teams do when they have, older veterans or whatever, because they're just not ready to play week 1, but they can be ready a little bit later. And we will have training camp. We will have rookie mini camp, that type of thing to help improve those guys. But here's the benefit of that, because there could be teams that one player gets injured. Heck, we saw the Chiefs last year. Both their tackles got injured. Now, obviously, it was past the trade deadline, and we absolutely wouldn't trade them to the Chiefs. But tackles get injured. So teams may be like, oh, we need a tackle. Or maybe their right tackle play isn't up to standard. They're like, we're trying to make a playoff push right here. We need a tackle. Oh, Orlando Brown Jr., we could trade for him. And they could trade, heck, they could trade future picks. They could trade, oh, yeah, here's our first for next year. And a 5th, or they could trade a player. Maybe the Cowboys are struggling and they trade Michael Gallup, or maybe Allen Robinson, in Chicago once kind of out, and their quarterback play isn't very good. They're not really going to make the playoffs. They're like, okay, let's set up for the future with Orlando Brown Jr., trade away Allen Robinson, get some value for him. I think it could really work. I think it would allow, the right tackle that the Ravens would draft to be able to learn from Orlando Brown Jr., especially if they draft another monster, a guy that's 6'7", 6'8", that would be able to really play similar style of football. I think it's the perfect move. So option 3 is the way to go, in my opinion, but absolutely let me know down in the comment section down below what your option would be. 1, 2, or 3. I guess option 4, like I said earlier, is don't trade him at all and just get nothing from him at the end of the year and let him leave. Or if there's an option that I haven't thought of, let me know down in the comments. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow.